What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Be Battle Ready podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Campo, and I created this podcast to give you the insights, strategies, and tactics to help you build a multiple six-figure battle-ready business. And it's not just this podcast. If you head over to battlereadybusiness.com, you can learn more about my coaching. The framework of this podcast, each week we'll cover a different topic. Week 1, we'll cover leadership. Week 2, we'll cover marketing. Week 3, we'll cover sales. And week 4, we'll cover lifestyle and personal development. We do this by having deep dive conversations with leaders, influencers, movers, and shakers in their respective areas of expertise. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. All right, so we are on with my man Brian Fremgen from Pacific Retail, the Senior Specialty Leasing Manager of Eastridge Property. So I will let Brian introduce himself, give a background. This week's episode's on sales, and Brian's is a salesman. So I'll let him introduce yourself.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. My name is Brian Fremgen. I'm currently working for Eastridge Center out here in San Jose, California. Been out here for almost 2 years at this property. Been with Pacific Retail Capital Partners, our parent company, in my current role for just over 3 years. Worked out of state for a little bit, and now back in California. So I handle specialty leasing, which is a very specific niche of commercial real estate, but what it boils down to is short-term, typically local, typically mom and pop shopping center tenants. So not necessarily a lot of your national brands, but a lot of carts, a lot of kiosks, a few stores, the brands that you'd see in a shopping center that are not that's really the best way to kind of phrase it, is it's more your local brands. So been making an impact here. Obviously we've really kind of revitalized Eastridge Center, and we're super stoked for the work we're doing here, and still have a long ways to go, but certainly in the short time Pacific Retail has been running this asset, we've really come a long way.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and you and I worked together for just about almost 2 years. So, similar area, but different at the same time. Did a lot of collaboration. So
a lot of overlap.
Yeah, a lot of overlap. So, one of the ways I wanted to start out today is like getting how you got into sales, because, I know that you were a manager, right, of Starbucks before you made the leap, right? Or was there something in between?
Yeah, so I was doing mostly food service before I kind of got into shopping centers, and did about a decade in a couple different restaurants, coffee shops, things like that. And I moved with my then fiance from Southern California to Northern California. I was looking for something kind of a little bit different, and the local shopping center was just like a mile and a half from our apartment was hiring. I threw my name in the hat, didn't get it for an assistant manager position, but it worked out okay. I ended up getting a sales coordinator role, so a little more like admin, sales support type thing. So not necessarily doing my own selling, but just enough to work directly under a sales manager, get and kind of watch her day to day, watch her interact with tenants and stuff. And I was in that role with Westville for about 2.5 years. And I was talking to my then general manager at the time about I have a lot of this management experience, but I've been kind of shadowing the sales person. And he was really a great mentor for me, and really kind of let me make my own decision, but nudged me down the path that, I had a knack for B2B sales, really developing good relationships with tenants, with operators, even the, businesses that weren't really affiliated with me, like still try to bring them value, still try to help them grow their business, even if I wasn't working directly with them or if they weren't my tenant, because a lot of those things have now come back. So I wouldn't say I stumbled into a sales role. I was very fortunate to get a role that let me observe, hone my own craft slowly, and kind of develop my skill set a little bit at a time without having to jump right into it.
Yeah.
So when Pacific Retail came calling and they offered me my first sales manager role to really step up, do my own specialty leasing in my own shopping center, and really it was on me to sink or swim. I was fortunate enough that I already had not all the skills, but I knew the industry well enough. I knew the lingo, and I've done okay. I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot to learn, but it's one of the fun things I like about this industry. It's ever evolving, and there's always new challenges, but I love what I do.
Yeah, and that offer, that new role, that new property, that was in a pretty nice place. It's one of the places that, hopefully in early September, my wife and I will get to visit. But
wow, that's nice. I always say out of state because we unfortunately had to live on Maui, Hawaii. So everybody is always like boo-hoo for us, but living in Hawaii and vacationing in Hawaii are very different. But still was an incredible experience. It was a phenomenal center. I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to go out there and prove myself. At work obviously, and then the family life was pretty nice because get out of the office for the day, go build sandcastles with my son at the beach for an hour, go home, have dinner, do it all again the next day. So not a bad deal.
So I think we were just destined to work together for a bit because that was the first property that I was supposed to go to when I came on.
I remember we had your resume and we were considering you. I think you were the final two, if not final three, for one of the roles we had out there, and the decision maker went a different route for whatever reason, and when the opportunity came up to join you at Eastridge, I was stoked on it.
Yeah, I still think it would be great because we would have had our, probably have our son in California and then move out there, raise our kid, So I think it would have been cool. So
yeah, everything. I'm a firm believer. Everything happens for a reason. It worked out the way it did, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful to be now supporting you on this next venture and helping businesses get battle ready.
So on that, yeah. So if what's your kind of overall vision or recommendation of if you were going to make somebody, a business or recommend a salesperson to be battle ready in their sales?
So I really just deal with B2B. I can't speak a lot to B2C. But certainly anybody that's going to be starting their own business needs a lot of good B2B skills. This was a lot of the vendors that deal with, or contractors, or whatever it may be. That ultimately most businesses, are going to have some B2C elements, but pretty much everybody's going to have some B2B in their business role. So, for somebody to be battle ready from a B2B perspective, dealing business to business. I think the biggest reason I've had the success that I've had is just understanding the goals of what the other business has. I mean, if their goal is to sell, ice cream, then what do we do to help them get to that goal? If their goal is to sell, cell phone plans, what do we do to help them be more successful? And for me, my success in a shopping center has really been based on doing what I can to help my business owners, my tenants, be successful, whether that be putting them in the right location, working out the right contract for them, maybe bundling some marketing with their package or whatever it may be, because every business is a little bit different depending on what they're looking for. So for me to be battle ready from a B2B perspective, it's all about the other side. It's all about your customer. Like what do they need to be ready? And you got to kind of understand that. And then I got to take that and apply that to what I got to get out of the deal, right? Obviously, I'm here to hit a number. I'm here to help the shopping center grow. There's a lot of factors. We want to have the right retail mix. Yes, we want to make money, but we also want to have a good experience for our customers. So there's a lot of levels. So we'll approach every deal a little bit differently, but ultimately then we just got to kind of try and figure out, where's the middle ground? Where can I kind of be flexible on some things? Where can they come up on some other things? And, if we can work a deal out, okay. But, not every business I interact with is going to end up buying from me or becoming a tenant in my case. So, the other thing I really always push is what can I do to at least give them value? If I'm not the right fit, but I say, you know what, there's a shopping center across the way that, you're a little too high end for me. Like you should be over here, or, your business isn't quite ready yet. Like I know you want to sell your brand on your t-shirt that you think is super cool, but it's, you're not quite, you don't have a following yet. Like you need to do this amount of sales just to pay me, for the rent that you're going to incur and things like that. So it's a little bit of business coaching and kind of helping entrepreneurs, especially when they're trying out a first business or they're pivoting to something new, helping them kind of mitigate what's going to make sense. And I'm fortunate to have been at this property for a couple of years now, so I kind of know what'll connect well with our customers and what won't, and help them get their business battle ready.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of businesses actually, I mean, not a lot. I mean, every so often there's a business that was like, oh, I'm going to try this out. I've had success over here. And they thought, well, I'm just going to throw up a shop and I'm going to be successful. They give it like 2 days and they're like, I'm out. I need to cancel my agreement. I need to get out. I'm closing.
Yep.
And there's a couple things in there, right? There's like, we saw that, hey, your product really didn't match the market. And, I think that was the biggest problem. And then waiting for success like that, I think it was a little bit of, for them, they were trying to hit a home run too big out of the gate instead of being in it for the long haul,
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit on two things. I mean, I think, to be battle ready, you got to be in it for sorry, this is a bad analogy, but you got to be in it more for the war. You got to be in it, every day is a grind, every day is a battle, but you're not going to win. You may win one day, but you got to be in it to win the long haul. And, there's very few businesses where you're going to cash out in, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, even a couple of years. Like, most businesses, you gotta be in it a long time to really be successful at it. So you're right. And then, I think we deal with entrepreneurs that kind of can't get out of their own way sometimes. They think that, I'm a vape company, I'm going to sell vape, and we're gonna have the best vape company. It's like you can have the best vape company, but if you're in a very health conscious market and your shoppers around you don't want to vape, it's not going to mesh well. Like you could have the best vape stuff in the world, but it's gotta connect with the people. So it's my role as a B2B is a little kind of consulting on what's going to connect B2C for them.
Yeah. So, and then, one thing I wanted to bring up is like, you're the first employee, right? Technical employee besides, I had a football coach, right? But, there's a lot of that of your role that's actually pretty entrepreneurial, right? I mean, you're given a specific goal or specific target to hit, and you have to hit it. I mean, compared to most businesses, fairly large, not to divulge those details, but it is a pretty fairly large number.
Yeah.
So,
I think your guest last week kind of talked about it. This company is very we're very streamlined, like because of our size, we really have to be. You got to be a self-starter. In that sense, it's very entrepreneurial. So, even though I'm not technically in business for myself, I do kind of view it as my success is up to me purely. Like no one else is in control of my success. If I get out, if I make enough calls, if I connect with enough people, then at that point it becomes a numbers game, and it's, success is really just on my shoulders. And that's kind of what attracted me to the role. I still kind of have the stability for my my home life and all that is great, just to be able to have all that kind of just be very, very smooth. But then I get to the office, I'm in the weeds. What am I gonna close today? What deals can I get out and get? And if I don't have anything in my pipeline, like, let's get out, let's hit the pavement, let's go hand out cards for a day or two until I've got enough momentum that I can start doing some stuff. So I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. I help a lot of entrepreneurs. It's very humbling for me when some of my tenants will kind of ask me about other properties. That to me is I think a testament that I'm doing things right, and that's been.
You're talking like properties inside your portfolio or locally?
Yeah, I mean, I have tenants that ask me about other shopping centers in the area or other products that, hey Ross, other products they're looking to start selling with my center or somewhere else. But to be able to have them ask me my opinion and then work with them and help them kind of brainstorm and stuff is just I wish I had a better word than humbling, but that's the only one that comes to mind.
Very cool, very cool. So yeah, like what is like, I mean, we talked about how you deal with your customers, right? But like actually to manage your pipeline, right? With my entrepreneurs, right? I set up these activities, right? Because they're going to be managing their overall business called daily battles, right? They have their own personal daily battles that they got to get through. And then we eventually set up their own daily battles inside their business, right? So one of those categories is this category of sales. So in that, like, what are those activities? Like, are you setting daily targets? Are you setting goals? Or are you just kind of just grinding through the weeds and getting after it? How do you manage that? Like, actually developing that pipeline, those activities?
For me, I'm most successful when it's fluid. It's to me, I know if I put in a hard day's work or not. I know people in similar roles that, they say they want to make 30 cold calls a day and, follow up with 25 leads a day or whatever it may be. I'm analytical, but I'm not a numbers guy in that sense. If I've got contracts I got to get through because that deal's closer to the finish line, that's priority number one all day. If a tenant has a water line breaking their space or something like that, like that's priority number one, unfortunately. Then I kind of work backwards from, okay, if I've gotten all my big fires put out, where can I kind of go spend some time? Like, can I make some calls? Can I DM some brands that I follow on Instagram? Should I go walk downtown? Is there a cool, San Jose has its Thursday night street fair back. So, can I go out there and pass out cards for the evening? Whatever it may be, I kind of, it's a little different now because like when I was first building up the program, it was a lot more pounding the pavement, giving out cards, that kind of stuff. Now now that my pipeline is kind of stabilized, now it's much more of, if there's anything that's close to the finish line that I can push across today, that's going to take priority, and then kind of work backwards. And if I always still find a little bit of time, but the amount of time that I get to kind of insert and refill that new business back in, that's the part that's kind of most fluid in my daily battle.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know that like we kind of, we're workout buddies a little bit, and you continue that on. So let's kind of talk about that. Like, how has that showed up in your work life? Like, do you contribute any of the success that you've had to, what I see putting somebody in the place of power, like getting that out of the way, getting it done? What's up, bro?
Yeah, for sure. I took a spin class this morning, and I for sure feel like I was more productive today than I was on Friday when I didn't get a workout in before working. So, I'm certainly not the expert in the mind over matter field, but I definitely think there's something to getting your body right first, getting a good meal in me. I feel like I interact with people better when I do that. Like I feel like it makes me I don't want to say more likable, but puts me in that right mindset to deal with my customers.
Yeah, cool. And then, so let's talk about your challenges, right? Like, I mean, I know that, you had a pretty big, you come into a couple of different programs and taking them from, we don't know if they're going to be working to like being successful. So like in those two, like what's been your biggest challenge in that? Like,
It kind of goes back to, I think, 2 questions ago. Like it's really that initial grind of getting the demand up. The 2 shopping centers I've worked at most recently, like there's been a lapse in time between myself and the predecessor. So a lot of that momentum, which in any business, like you need that momentum, you need that daily push to keep the business up, to keep interest coming, to keep your pipeline full, right? So that first really like 6 to 12 months is the hardest part for sure. That takes a lot more time of collecting a lot more data on who you're targeting, setting up a new Instagram page and just following just brands that I want to work with, that I think connect well, that would go well with our shopper database and all that. And then, just constantly interacting with those guys on social. That's to me was, and it's not that it's like the hardest, most challenging part. Like that's just the biggest mountain to climb. Because I think a B2B salesman is just a certain type of role. It's much more of a who you know type thing. So it's just putting in that legwork of getting to know those people. That's the biggest thing. So not everybody that's in my phone for Eastridge, not all of them have bought for me. Probably less than 5% have bought for me. Probably less than that, like a fraction. So to me, the hard part is just kind of building that up, so that if I do say, lose my coffee shop and I need to find a new coffee shop, I know 7-8 people in a 10-20 mile radius that have, coffee shop businesses, or they're a manager with aspirations to start their own shop one of these days or something like that. Like the building up that relationship Rolodex, if you will, is the biggest part of the grind. And now that I've been working on this project for 2 years, it's mostly stable. There's always going to be some flex, as with any business, but now it's more of a maintaining the momentum that we have, keeping our existing operators happy, bringing in new programs, starting new marketing efforts to get new business into them, and really kind of supporting them and sharing in their success.
Awesome. What do you feel like? What would you attribute your biggest success? Like, what are you most proud of in your career, as far as success wise?
My career, it goes back to relationships. I mean, that's really the big thing. And this actually was when I was working in Roseville. I had this operator that I worked with, and we did kind of one small deal, and he kind of got dismissed by the rest of the team. And I'm like, this is a good operator. This is like a locally known brand. Like, this is somebody we really should be working with on a more consistent basis. And I kept in touch with them, and it just because I didn't know it at the time, but like I think that's really what's been the biggest factor for me through my career now is just kind of keeping those business relationships as vibrant as you can, like checking in with people, having coffee, even if we're in different industries now, like going on your buddy's podcast, whatever it may be. All those things I think are feeding into your future business. Even if there's zero near short-term, long-term chance of anything coming of it, like that's really the biggest thing. And it's just those relationships. So my most proudest business accomplishment was that guy who just kind of did one little buy. I don't want to say the exact thing, but we ended up having a huge package with him, doing this huge custom campaign, like all around holiday, and they did this whole domination thing around our holiday set and stuff, and it was just it ended up being this really, I don't want to say it was easy, because the pushing it across the finish line was the easy part, and a lot of salespeople, I think, get caught up in they just try and push random things across the finish line. But to me, if I got a stable of horses and they're all stallions, and I can race any one of them, getting one to run across the finish line is a lot easier than trying to start up from scratch and build it all the way up. Keeping that stock of good business people that you want to work with. It's not so much of a customer thing, because it's really relationships. Because I've done business with other people where I've been on the quote unquote customer side just as often. So that to me is the biggest accomplishment, is maintaining a relationship that was undervalued by people incorrectly, I think, and ended up, really not only paying financial dividends, but it really was a win-win partnership.
Yeah.
And I still connect with this guy, and we're, I would still say still friends.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's it going to hurt if you give him a shot? Right. I mean, I think more than anything, like, that's what I learned when I first got into any type of sales role. When I was doing personal training, I told this story. It's like, they threw me on the floor and were like, go sell these training packages and tell people that they're wrong. That's pretty much what they told you. And then I was just like, I forgot about it. I just got so frustrated, and I was like, I'm just going to start saying hi to people, right? And smiling, and just anytime anybody crossed my path, just say hi to somebody. And it paid dividends, right? Because then you developed relationships, people came up, started having conversations, and it turned into results. So, yeah. So cool. Yeah, man. So you just recently bought a house, right?
Yeah. Big move.
How's that?
It's again, just really fortunate to be where I'm at, like personally and professionally. Like, some people say blessing. I think I've just been I've been in the trenches with some really great people. I think I've been very fortunate to be given the opportunities that I've been given. Call that what you want. But that's just really, I like to think if people put in the work, the universe will reward it. So
yeah,
to get into the details, of kind of a pain in the ass to fix leaky faucets again, but it's all right. It's better long term.
So as far as like personal development, like career development, anything like that, like, is there anybody you follow? Is there like things that you start? Like, what do you do? What do you do like to kind of grow your skill sets and mindsets?
I think, we talk a bit about, large influencers that we follow, the Gary Vaynerchuk's, Tim Ferriss's of the world, guys that, I think are really shape the professional development industry, if you will, kind of thing. But I think really having mentors in your space that know your industry, that know you personally, ideally both, is really the biggest thing that I think we don't generally take advantage of enough. I still try and keep in contact with a lot of my old mentors, like from Westfield and stuff. Even from Starbucks, I still have the hiring manager that hired me from Starbucks. I still keep in contact with her and stuff. And like, just even like, it's just all about relationships. It's just, seeing her and seeing how seeing the roles that she's grown into now, and seeing my career trajectory, like with all kinds of crazy pivots and U-turns and zigzags and stuff. Like I think having those people that know you and kind of saw something in you that stood out, and that whether that was you did business together, whether you worked for them, whatever that may be, worked with them, having that 5, really kind of like max probably 5 people that you can just ask for advice, like, hey, I got offered this deal. It's kind of weird. Like, can I run this by you? Like, that to me is the biggest thing, because I still get challenged every week where, I'll have something that doesn't quite fit, or I can't quite crack. Like, what should I be doing with this operator? So having those people that either know you and can kind of read you and say, well, it seems like you're calling me because this isn't the thing. This isn't the direction you should be going. Or know the industry to be like, oh no, that type of business is never going to work with you, type of thing. So that to me is something that I think everybody professionally should do more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I want to wrap this up, so I appreciate you being on, and I'm bummed that I don't get to see you every day like I used to, but
your office right there.
I know, right there. So I really appreciate you giving me time and being on here, and thanks for providing value. I hope people picked up on maybe some nuggets out of it, and go from there, man.
Yeah, man. On a personal level, for sure, miss working out with you every day and hanging out with you every day. Professionally and developmentally, like, I think you're really putting together something special here. I really think the battle ready concept is super interesting, and I think it's gonna. I think once you kind of have your first couple really good case studies of that brand went through battle ready. Oh, okay. Like I think that's really going to be the breakthrough moment. And, I'm super stoked to kind of see the progress you make with a lot of those brands over the short term.
Cool. I'm going to give you access to my membership site, so you can check it out. So
appreciate it.
So cool, man. Well, I appreciate you and appreciate you being on, and yeah, man, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.
Later.
All right, that wraps this week's episode of the Be Battle Ready podcast, brought to you by Battle Ready Business. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or current business owner and you'd like to take your business to the next level, go over to battlereadybusiness.com to apply for a complimentary one-on-one Battle Ready strategy session. During this session, we'll take a deep dive look into where you're at, where you want to go, and come up with the fastest path for you to build a multi-six-figure battle-ready business. So go over to battlereadybusiness.com to apply for that strategy session, and I look forward to supporting you.